color, like we're not a part of the student body, that we're not valued. And interestingly, recently, Raven Symone made a comment about how she's American and not African American, and that she feels like she's colorless and she identifies with a lot of different things. And a lot of people got on her about saying things like this. So I wanted to know what you guys think about the concept of not claiming your African American, not subscribing to the African American label or feeling like you're colorless. What do you guys think?
I think it's like one of those things where people, like the idea that if we stop talking about racism, racism would exist.
Okay.
So people, like you meet a lot of people like, oh, I don't see color, I just see people. And it's so funny because that used to be, I used to think that was fine, but after a while, like, it's not.
Yeah.
You should see this color.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to be colorless, I'm black. So I think that's like the ideal that she's kind of trying to perpetrate. Because Morgan Freeman said the same thing, that like, it's not about racism, it's no disappear. And she's like, oh, I'm not African American, I'm color. And I just think that's really stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman, I know, made a comment about like there shouldn't be a Black History Month.
Well, you know, see that.
It's like, at first, I heard that comment whenever he first said it, and I was like, well, that makes sense, true.
Yeah.
But no, there are reasons we've been oppressed as a people, which is why we need to make special efforts to recognize our self-worth, because we don't see that in everyday life.
Right, if it was in everyday life and
Right,
we were taught this, then we wouldn't need it.
Right.
But we're not taught anything,
Exactly.
so we do need it.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid for her to say that because, like, she was on a sitcom, The Cosby Show, where it was, like, about an up-and-coming black family, and that was, like, the first time they'd ever seen somebody who was, like, a middle-class family, and it was normal. And so for her to say something like that, I feel like she's turning back, like, all the fame that she kind of got. Not saying that she's famous because she's black.
She's not.
But
She's not famous, period.
Yeah. But she's just, like, I feel like that's such a stupid thing for her to say, especially in a time where, like, I don't know, a lot of black girls need somebody to look up to, and they need a role model, and they need to see somebody that looks like them on television. And, like, for her to say something like that, I think she's going to lose fans, and I think it's important to have people that look like you.
And interestingly, she's been that, like, on Disney Channel, she was like one of the first
Yeah.
people to have her own show. So it's kind of weird. But I think, like Natasha was saying, I think I got like what she was going for. As far as like not wanting to be labeled as something, like wanting to be an actress and before just being like a black actress, not wanting to be typecast and not wanting to be labeled and stuff like that. But like, you're black.
Kiki Palmer did the same thing during the Ferguson thing. She made a bunch of comments about how, Kiki Palmer, about how like, oh, we're all one human race, we all bleed red, blah, blah, blah. So like, all like bullshit comments. And the thing is, like, this is such a bad time to say stuff like that, because I feel like we're in a time where, like, black conservatives is such a thing now. Like, everyone is just, like, not just realizing, but everyone is, like, coming to terms with, like, with their blackness and, like, being so proud of it. Even on Twitter, I cannot, like, scroll a couple of tweets and I see some shit about, like, somebody being, not like shit, but like some stuff about somebody being like so proud about being black and all that. And Raven Symone wants to say she's not black.
Well,
what are you doing?
Actually, she said she's not African.
She's not African American.
Right, I was about to say, maybe is that like the main thing? Is she trying to say like she can't identify with being African American because we are so like far taken from it?
She did say that. She was like, I don't know where in Africa my ancestors came from, but I do know that I'm from Louisiana. But then she went on and said, like, I'm from Louisiana, I'm American, and that's colorless.
Oh, yeah. I kind of agree with the African American thing, like, kind of, but I would always say I'm black. I'm not color. I'm hoping I'm not color.
I would want her to know. I would want her to explain the difference between African American
and black.
Because I know I feel that way. I feel that way in terms of wanting to identify with my, African heritage, but also realizing that Africa is an entire continent and we can't homogenize the cultures. So sometimes it seems insincere when we're trying to relate to our culture. We don't even know.
We don't know
these countries.
It's not really our culture at this point. Like,
but that's not our fault.
Right, it's not. But we're not colorless.
It's like the thing where people say like, oh, I'm Irish American, I'm German American. They don't say I'm European American.
Right.
Well, you know, African American, you just get to be African American.
Right.
You're the whole continent. You're not Liberian or nothing. You're just all African.
I think it's also interesting, or it's also important to like recognize the fact that obviously this is not a post-racial society. So like, it's important to like recognize like our differences and own that. So like as a Black woman and as a Black person, like you bring something specific to the table, like you bring another perspective, and yeah, like some people might try to marginalize you for that and like typecast you, but like that is like your identity. I mean, I guess it depends on the person for like how they identify, but like that's something special that you bring to the table.
It kind of dehumanizes you in a way for you to say like you don't want a label, because I feel like everyone is labeled, and not like bad labels, but like you are something. For you to say you're nothing is just like basically dehumanizing yourself. So I think it's kind of stupid on her part to be like, I'm just American, I'm not.
And I think she needs to recognize, even if she doesn't choose to identify as that personally, that she needs to be aware of the fact that people are going to
everyone else is going to.
Yeah, everyone else is going to put you in whatever box you belong in, because it's not, like you said, everybody's in a group,
right.
You know, I'm a girl, I'm a woman, like.
Right, you can't say, I'm just a person, like.
You are a person, I'm a woman, right?
Yeah. I wonder how like the gay community feels about it, because she also like she's like, oh, I'm not gay.
Is she openly out?
Yeah, she says she has a girlfriend.
Yeah,
right.
she's
openly like,
who is a woman,
but she doesn't want to be called.
There she is again, like.
Which I feel like that's something that's more accepted, because I've heard like a lot of people say things like that.
Like sexuality is a spectrum.
Yeah.
I think she's like obviously struggling with her identity.
Yeah.
Like she's obviously going through something for her to be like, I don't want to be labeled as anything, because like we were saying, obviously you have to be labeled as something. You can't just be like this colorless void person just like floating through life. So.
Honestly, that's why when I heard those comments, I didn't even take it really with any seriousness or depth. I just kind of took it as like, oh, okay, she's figuring herself out.
Yeah, you know?